The most eagerly anticipated sneaker drop of the year, the Nike Artifact CloneX Air Force 1s, are finally here, and I have the complete set. Do they live up to the hype? Are they based or are they trash? Yes, it's time for some hardcore sneaker porn. Are you excited? You should be. All right, so our story begins here with these two curious shoes, the MK and the K-. These are the Jeff Staple Artifact collab shoes, and there's a bit of a weird story about these, because Jeff Staple, legendary sneaker designer, he created the Nike Dunk SB Low NYC Pigeon, the gray, beautiful shoe back in the early 2000s. And he collaborated with Artifact on these special edition shoes. We looked at the renders, and the renders looked amazing. They had all these 3D bits sticking off them. They looked kind of futuristic and interesting and kind of cool. And Artifact themselves were saying, yeah, we can take all of that stuff and we can build it into a real, actual physical sneaker. Because the whole point about Artifact was you get an NFT, you'd forge a physical, and then you'd have something like this to take home and collect. Chris Lee from Artifact says this: the physical sneaker will be based off of the digital NFT. We have a technique where we can actually make the sneaker look almost one-to-one with the 3D look of the NFT, with the 3D look of the NFT. This thing had weird bits of robot arms sticking off the back of it. It had chunky bits kind of sticking out. And when the shoes arrived, we had none of that. It was genuinely disappointing to look at this because it was just printed. And don't get me wrong, it's a perfectly nice shoe. It's not a Nike shoe, it's just a generic thing with Artifact branding on it. But the bit that was cool was all the stuff sticking off the side of it, the metal. Yeah, it's just a pattern, it's just printed on. What's nice is this is number 54 of 212, and this is 12 of 100. So really, there's not a huge number of these around, but yeah, little bit disappointing. So if you wanted to purchase a pair of these, you can do so on StockX. These K- are going for $1,463, and the purple one is going for $2,485. Although, if you look on eBay, somebody is asking $19,000 for one of these. So the question is, based or trash? When I first got them, I thought trash, but as it's gone on, I'm kind of looking at them as like the ones before the Nike deal, and for that, maybe they're a little bit based. All right, so moving on to the Space Strip. These are the first shoes that Artifact forged with Nike. These are Air Force 1s, genuine ones. You've got AF1 on the buckle here and a little space capsule here. So basically what happened was Artifact commissioned 17 creators to design what they called the Space Strip, which was kind of like an Among Us capsule that kind of moved around, and they wrapped it in this artist design. Nobody ever thought that would amount to anything else until suddenly, out of the blue, those designs got forged as Air Force 1. So these designers who have really previously been pretty unknown suddenly had a shoe with their design on it, which is awesome. So this is the MGXS, and this is the Cory Van Lieu, and these are kind of like the precursor to what we now have with the clones. I don't actually know how many of each there are. I don't really care, but I do love them. Definitely based. So if you're a sneakerhead, one of the hardest things to determine is how many pairs of an actual shoe exist in the world right now. Because it's, well, I mean, you just don't know. But with these Air Force 1s, because they're connected to the blockchain, because there are NFTs attached, and I know you're going to be rolling your eyes and cringing at this, it makes all of that forensic work a lot easier. Let's dig in. So what you do is you go to the Artifact lookbook for the Air Force 1s, and here you will find a number quoted for the number of units in the world. So for instance, these Genesis shoes, 1,776, and if we go all the way down to the Aliens, the most rare, 60 units quoted in the world right now. But of course, it isn't that simple, because what happened when these shoes were initially issued was people bought an NFT, and that acted basically as a coupon. So you could redeem that coupon for a pair of physical Artifact Nike Air Force 1s, and not everybody did. So how do we find out how many were and how many weren't actually made? So what we do is we go to the CloneX forging site, and here things get a little bit kind of confusing. So these NFTs here on this page on OpenSea, they represent the claims on the physical items that were actually forged. So that's the way that it works on Artifact. You buy an NFT and then you can forge it for a physical item. And in return, you get a different NFT that represents the forged version. This is where things get a bit confusing, because if we look at the Genesis numbers, it says here 13,866. But yet, when we go on the lookbook, claimed units, only 1,776. What's going on here? Well, actually, if we just select the Genesis items themselves, we get a different number because there's only 1,498 results, but it's still, like, there's a discrepancy here. What's going on? 1,776, but 1,498. It's actually pretty simple. It just means there was a certain number of people who didn't trade in their NFT for the physical item. But we can find out because on this page, which is the pre-forged NFT page, we can see those original NFTs, and here they are looking mighty fat. But here we can see the numbers that weren't actually forged. So for these humans, 205 were not forged. For the Genesis, 260 were not forged. So all you have to do here is you have to go to the lookbook number, take away the number that weren't actually forged, and then you get to the real rarity of the shoes. And in the next section that follows, we'll put the actual real rarity of these shoes on there. But this is why blockchain is amazing, because we can actually track real numbers, real actual numbers connected to what was forged and what wasn't forged to get to an actual true number of how many shoes, how many pairs of these shoes exist in the world. And just to give you some context here, these are the Nike Air Yeezy 2 SP Red Octobers. And these shoes, they're being sold for 11,058 euros. For a pair of shoes. Just imagine that. And how many pairs of this particular shoe do you think exist in the world? It's about 5,000. So if we go back and look, these aliens, 59 exist in the world. That just gives you an idea of how actually rare they are compared to like the highest performing sneaker brands in the world right now. Interested? I definitely am. Okay, so now we get down to business with the CloneX Air Force Ones. And here we have the Murakami DNA. I'm going to start with the least rare to the most rare. And clearly the Murakami name pushed people to buy these because they wanted a Murakami design on their shoes. And so what we've got here is digitally printed top grain leather with pigmented leather upper and premium metallic foil TPU accents, and of course the Murakami design there as well. These are highly desirable and highly collectible, and quite a lot of people actually forge them, and you can kind of understand why. The design is classic Murakami. The feel of the shoes is so premium, they're heavy, and these are proper Air Force Ones, and compared to those Jeff Staples earlier, you know this is legit. And of course you've got the CloneX capsule right here on all these shoes, just so that people know exactly where this came from. So of course we have to ask, based or trash? Well, for the Murakami name alone, of course it's based. Although, as we'll see later, there is more based when it comes to the Murakami name. Okay, so next we move on to the human ones. I think a lot of people were looking out for these because they're simple, they're clean, and they are really a delightful shoe. This is canvas on the top here, BCI cotton canvas, and then there's some premium leather as well. Premium leather. Certainly smells good, smells like new shoes. Absolutely no surprise from the NFT. We'll come to that later. There were some surprises, but this one looked exactly as it did in the original 3D mock-up, and it's just a clean, nice shoe, and I can understand why so many people forged them. So we have to ask, based or trash, and I haven't met a single person that's seen these and not liked them. They're dope. Definitely based. So now we move on to the Genesis, and this shoe is an absolute surprise because in the lookbook it says it's made with black hole, black premium performance microfiber leather and 24% recycled nylon content. That is not what this is. This is a completely different shoe. The whole point about the Genesis was it was a shoe that anybody could buy, even if you didn't have a clone. So for all these other ones, you had to have the clone that matched with the DNA of the shoe that you wanted. The Genesis, no. So you would have assumed that it would have been the basic entry-level model. But you put these in your hand, and these things are just awesome. The 3D render was for a different material. Whatever they did, they upgraded the material. And what you have here is a shoe with real presence. You've got these shiny accents here. You've got this beautiful feeling material. They just look and feel amazing. For a Genesis product, for something that anybody could buy, that was a massive upgrade and a huge surprise. So these ones, definitely based. All right, moving on to the Angels now. And these are kind of a surprising one. From a distance, you think, oh yeah, that's just a nice, clean, white shoe with a gold metallic accent here. Very nice it is too, but then you look a little closer and you see that this material here is translucent. It's semi-translucent accents and that gold foil blade. And actually the shoe feels a lot more premium in your hand than it does from further away. Definitely one of those where you have to get into the details, but that is a nice touch. And of course you get the Angel logo here as well. So, based or trash? For me, definitely based. Ah, the robots. Different story with these ones. Vacuum laminated PU textile composite material, an underlay material of mirror ripstop mesh, premium metallic coated European full grain leather accents, which all adds up to a recipe of meh. See, this is one of those examples of where the NFT render promised so much. These areas were supposed to be darker. This is supposed to be a robot shoe. If I think of a robot shoe, it should be metallic, it should be shiny, it should have this feeling of automation. But yeah, this doesn't deliver. It's gray and purple. And for me, it just, yeah, it's just disappointing. If I say robot, I want it to feel and look like a robot. This is just kind of shiny and the texturing there is like, yeah, I don't know. So for me, unfortunately, trash. Okay, so moving on to the Demons now, where the Angels really delivered what I would expect from an Angel. These ones, I'm conflicted about. In the renders, all these bumps and ridges that you see here, they're way more aggressive, there's way more texture, it just feels demonic, which is what you want. Obviously black and red, that works, but you have to get really close to see the detail and the sculpturing in the leather. And I don't know, it just feels like it falls a little short. And the problem with this shoe is because it's black and it has these red accents, it's compared to the Genesis shoe. And if I'm looking at them, I'm thinking, which one do I want? The Genesis shoe just has more presence, it has more of a thing. Again, they're clean, it's a personal preference thing. They smell amazing. I wouldn't eat them, by the way, but for me, these suffered in the translation from the render to the physical. And for that, unfortunately, they are trash. Obviously, I'm being a bit of a dick here because none of these are trash. The quality is insane, just some of them are just a little bit more insane than the others. Which all brings us to the Reptile. And what a journey we've been on with the Reptile. Because in the original render, in the original NFT, the green was metallic green. And these things just looked amazing. I almost got 2 pairs of them because I like them that much. One to rock, one to stock. And then I saw what they'd actually done with it, and I saw this sort of washed out green color. And I was like, oh no, what have they done? Because those are my favorite ones. And yet, when they arrived, I was pleasantly, no, even more, I was shocked to discover that what they'd done was just way better, because this material here is lenticular and color shifting, which means as you look at it and turn it in the light, it changes, it has texture. I have never seen anything like that. I feel that this is reptilian, but it's got this futuristic vibe to it. The color scheme is obviously legit. Green and orange bang against each other so well. I am completely and utterly in love with these shoes. I will not sell them for any price. So we are getting down to the super rare ones now. There's only 380 pairs of these in existence in the world. And if you want one, on StockX right now, going for $5,000. But like I said, I ain't selling. That has absolutely delivered so far beyond anything I wanted from this shoe that I am stoked. So for that, absolutely 100% based. So now we come to the Undead. Only 176 of these in existence, crafted from ostrich texture printed leather with black hull, black vamp, lateral and medial quarters, and a nose spark, foil swoosh, and blade pattern. All of which adds up to a recipe of almost amazing. So in the original renders, there was a lot more texturing here. You felt the skin of the Undead, the pustules, the boils. It felt a lot more aggressive and angry. But also this fabric here, this material, This is actually the same one you find on the Genesis, and in the renders it looked like it was just sort of a simple normal leather, but that has definitely elevated the shoe for me. The color combination is divine. I can see a lot of people wanting to wear this shoe. I think it's got a lot of appeal. It's going for $5,000 on eBay if you want one right now. I think it suffers from being not quite rare enough to be like as rare as the Aliens and the Murakami, but still a very desirable shoe, and for that, based. All right, so now we're getting to the meat of it. These are the Murakami DNA. Only 162 of these in existence. And they have the classic Murakami design, the Murakami eyes. And if you want to compare them with the Murakami drip, that's what the two look like. So you're getting a lot more of the happy faces and the flowers signatures of Murakami, but these are a bit more understated, a bit more pastely, pinky, purpley. And that's pretty much it really. You've got this translucent Nike swoosh and the blade as well. So that's a nice detail, but really you're basically getting the Murakami name here. And if you want to pick one of these up, someone is asking $25,000 on eBay. Yeah, good luck with that. But you know, Murakami name, it does say something, doesn't it? Based. So this is the one you've been waiting for, isn't it? The Alien. And I had to work quite hard to get this shoe. But I'm very happy that I did because it completed the set for me. And it does feature some really wild materials on here. According to the details, it's a premium microfiber synthetic leather with fine detail rubber molded accents with 3D molded blade and swoosh with a never before seen enamel finished molded midsole wrap. So all of that shiny stuff there is enamel. I mean, this has got a whole bunch of things in it, and as it should. Like even the shoelaces themselves are these crazy things, although you can swap them out for a different set of shoelaces, which they come with as well. So if you want regular shoelaces, they give them to you as well. But I mean, the whole point of this, you know, is that the materials should be special. Only 59 of these in existence. It's a pretty special shoe. I don't know if personally I feel impacted by it the same way I do with the Reptile, but there's no doubt the rarity of it alone makes it super special because the people who minted an Alien CloneX, there were very, very few of them, and they were able to purchase these shoes, and then I had to purchase them off them. So if you want to pick one of these up on eBay right now, it could be yours for $20,000. Yes, it's just remarkable to me that a pair of shoes could be being sold for $20,000. Obviously, you have to find someone willing to pay that. But these shoes are only a year old at this point. What are they going to be worth in 10 years' time? I would very much like to find out. And the thing is, I am not a sneakerhead. No, that's not true. I am a sneakerhead. I am obviously a sneakerhead, but Artifact converted me. They put me in the church of sneakers and ordained me high priest of this collection. And I'm very happy to be there. Based. Oh yeah, very based. So, this is it, the full collection. And you know, Artifact are pretty much known for valuing their oldest holders, people who've been with them for a long time, and making it worth your while to hold on to forged assets or whatever it is that you have, because eventually they do reward you for that. And in this case, no exception, because I discovered a week ago that by virtue of having forged all 10 DNAs, there was another. Imagine mashing all of these shoes together into one design, like the classic Nike AF1s What the Fuck by DJ CK, that classic shoe from 2007. Imagine that, but now with all of these. Well, they've only gone and done it, and I looked in my wallet and there I discovered there was an NFT called What the Artifact, and it was a shoe. And I thought it was just the NFT, but no, they've actually forged it as well. 40 people in the world will have this shoe, and I will be one of them. It hasn't turned up yet, but trust me, I'm gonna be excited when it does. But there you go. Artifact's done an amazing job just creating all of these different shoes, creating all of the clothing, like this incredible varsity jacket is immense. We have done our own clothing. We know how difficult it is. This is a DGAF jacket. We have barely got it out of prototype stage. They've done an incredible, immense job, and they get a lot of flack from people because of the collection, because of what they've been doing, but trust me when I tell you, doing this, super hard. And as I sit here in front of these incredible shoes, just looking at them and thinking, what did you do, mate? You know what I think? I done good. So, for this collection, for Artifact, For Benoit, Chris Lee, Zaptio, definitely based.